Okay, so here's the backstory on this. Last Sunday morning, Larry Byron from the Paul Feinbaum Show sends a tweet mentioning Kris Kristofferson's song Sunday Morning Coming Down, and said that Kris was one of the greatest songwriters that ever lived. And, of course, I answered him back and said so was Steve Goodman and John Prine, and that all three were discovered in Chicago. And lo and behold, John Prine likes my tweet. Well, those that know me know that I almost fainted when I read it, because that's like getting a letter from God to me. Everybody knows, number one, I'm a big Alabama fan. I'm for Alabama. And number two, I'm a big John Prine fan and always have been. The foreword of my book of poetry that was done mentions John Prine as my inspiration and reason for starting to write poetry and songs. And so after binge watching Steve Goodman and John Prine videos one weekend in May the 22nd, I wrote this little thing called A Tribute to John Prine. Well, it started out kind of as a funny thing. Like they used to do those news broadcasts back in the 60s. They took top 40 song titles and made a news broadcast, like a breaking news thing. So that's the inspiration behind this song that is my tribute to John Prine. It mentions a lot of his music and songs, and it's to the tune of one of his songs, and I hope he doesn't sue me. And I was going to save this for his 70th birthday that's coming up on October the 10th, but I decided to go ahead and put it on my Facebook and then tweet it to him. And if he hates me, I'll take it down. Or maybe he won't sue me for doing this. But anyway, this is my tribute to John Prine, my musical hero and my inspiration for becoming a songwriter. There's a blue umbrella resting on my shoulder. I just got word my friend Sam Stone has died. They were gonna bury him up by the old Green River, in a little town they once called Paradise. But when they got there, everything was missing. So they cut him up and passed him all around, so we could all take home a little souvenir of what it's like to have Sam Stone around. Just give me one good reason, 'cause that's the way this big old goofy world goes round. I'm freezing sitting in this bathtub, naked as the eyes of a clown. They say he was standing by peaceful waters when his time came along for sweet revenge. You should have seen Donald and Lydia crying, and Rudy's just about to come unhinged. Yeah, we all knew he had a Spanish pipe dream. Yeah, we all knew he was a quiet man. We all knew he was an angel from Montgomery, with an illegal smile and a bruised orange in his hand. Just give me one good reason, 'cause that's the way this big old goofy world goes round. I'm freezing sitting in this bathtub, naked as the eyes of a clown. So I wrote a note and passed it to dear Abby, who was traveling at the speed of loneliness. She said, let's talk dirty in Hawaiian about the sins of Mephisto and all the best. You'll never know, you mean so much to me. I'm crazy as a loon, I'm sure you guessed. My grandpa was an honest carpenter. He sang a lonesome hobo tune in spite of himself. Just give me one good reason, 'cause that's the way this big old goofy world goes round. I'm freezing sitting in this bathtub, naked as the eyes of a clown. The elephant boy has moved back to his Mexican home in search of Jesus and the missing years. But I reckon it ain't hurting nobody to fish and whistle, how lucky can one man get? So we're standing here beside the peaceful waters, by the peaceful waters of Lake Marie, thinking about Barbara Lewis, Hare Krishna, Beauregard, who is still so very, very far from me. Well, I reckon there are humans that ain't human. Christmas in prison will do that to a soul. But your flag decal won't get you into heaven anymore. Sam, you best return to your old Kentucky home. Just give me one good reason, 'cause that's the way this goofy world goes round. I'm freezing sitting in this bathtub, naked as the eyes of a clown. We're going down, down to the bottom of a hole in the ground. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. My tribute to John Prine. Happy birthday, John.